Got 9:30, so let's start with the prayer followed by the pledge. Father God, we turn our hearts to you this morning, and we're mindful of our country and the freedoms we enjoy and those ahead of us that pave the way to keep us safe. We pray for those in uniform, first responders, and we pray you would watch and keep them safe. So today we have business for the county, and we ask that we would do what and grant us wisdom that would be right in your sight for our constituents. So add to this prayer, we pray in Christ's name. Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we get started, we're going to open it for a public hearing. And this is in regards to the county farm. We have two parcels of ground, but I'll call it the county farm. But any discussion, we'd ask you to come forward and make comments for the record, if you don't mind specifying your name. Kent, come forward.
Kent Sprunger. I've been nearly a lifelong resident of Wells County and have been in the ag business and real estate appraisal business for the last 50 years. That's starting to tell my age, I think. But I personally believe that it's not a time to be selling real estate. I think that we're in inflationary times, and I think they're predicting land values to be in excess of $15,000. And I think if you follow what's happened historically, I think within 5 to 10 years we'll be in the high teens. They're seeing that in the stronger markets right now. If you follow what's happening in Illinois, and I think also cash rent is going to be going up to a significant amount. And I would propose, in lieu of selling the ground, is to get a bond or a mortgage, and have that correlated with the cash rent, so that it wouldn't be a burden on the taxpayer. They would go hand in hand. And by the way, what interest rates are we looking at for the county garage right now? I'm assuming that we're selling this to build the county garage. Is that a correct assumption?
I think it's a start a funding source for it.
This would be a funding source for a portion of it.
Correct. And what interest rate will we have to be paying?
I don't know at that stage because nothing's been locked in yet.
Yeah, we haven't got to the...
Is there a range? Do we know a range roughly? I mean, it's
There was a time
it's hard to buy anything without knowing what the interest rate is.
6 months ago, Kent, where it was started, and at that time, they always say money was very inexpensive to acquire. So that being said, because of the volatility of the market, as you alluded to, as such, basically, I think that the thought of the sale of the farm was to get money in the coffers to be able to move forward with it, so we had a base of financial security. Is that safe to say, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've looked at the bond rates for different projects, and I'm not saying that ours would fit in this category, but I would think it would. Between 1.05 and 2.05 is what I've been told.
So the cash rent would, at the 2% interest rate, would easily make the payment on the money that you would borrow against the farm to do the seed money that you want to build the...
If it's that rate.
Huh?
If it's that rate. If it would be 2%.
It
might be
well,
1%.
Well, people are buying farms today projecting 3 to 4 to 5% interest. So, and hoping to be able to pay for them.
Right.
Well,
I think if I could just interrupt you for a moment, the idea behind the farm is, as you will have as many people that will say we should keep it, there are that many people that say we should sell the farm. Because the way the farm was set up in the past through history was to, take care of the county home, et cetera. Well, obviously, we don't own the county farm, the home anymore. We've sold that. And to be in the business of farming, there's a stage where we're not, as a government group, I think that as times are changing, that owning ground and being in that business are passing us by, in all honesty. And we are looking at this after being around for a long time. There are other needs that are need as a county, be it a barn, highway barn, updating the jail, where that money can be spent towards that and help us as a county to keep things moving forward, where our farm is kind of gone, we've passed that stage.
But you understand what I'm saying? You can borrow the money and do the same thing and easily make the payment, and then the inflation, when this ground's $15,000 to $20,000 an acre, the people that sell it today, I'm assuming we're looking in the 10 neighborhood today, maybe. That would be. Anybody have any projections, or has there been an appraisal? Any idea of the value that we're looking at here
Of the farm,
of the farm?
that's the next step. Once you decide to sell it, then it has to be appraised by
Right.
2 appraisers.
Let me ask you this. We've always counted on good businessmen to be the county commissioners. Historically, they've been retired business people that have the time to do it. And are you selling your farms? Would Mr. Vanover, would you sell your farm today?
I would not sell my farm today.
What's
no.
that?
I would not sell my farm today,
You
no.
would not sell your,
No.
would you sell your land today? Your
Well, I look at my farm, what I have is not, it's farm ground, but it's not desirable farm ground. So, I didn't buy it to farm it.
But if I had to sell my farm, to do something better for my business as a whole, I would.
You
But
don't
I
have
mean,
any
that's
borrowed mon-
'cause-
You don't have any borrowed money in your business.
I have some borrowed money, yes,
So
I
there
do.
would be the way to take care of the borrowed money is to sell your farm.
I think in some applications, it's absolutely true.
Yeah, just what's happening in the country today, that Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are both buying farm ground. Bill Gates is up to 250,000 plus acreage. And another little asset we have with that county farm, it's the best water in the area. We have 2 adjacent city wells, within an eighth of a mile. And we're tapping onto the 3rd well now, the last well. And so there's can't say there's oil under that ground, but there's water, and water that the county residents could very well need someday, so. And how about the adjacent, I think all of our adjacent county, I don't know about Allen County, but I'm pretty sure Huntington County, Blackford County, Jay, and Adams at this time all has, unless they've sold them in the last year or two, have county land.
A lot of counties own ground, but they don't own ground to farm it. They own it for possible economic development expansions, and it's key locations, whether it's an intersection or near sewage or water or infrastructure. It's, and this is quite a ways from any of that.
Blackford and Jay would be farther away from the city than what we are. We're here just a mile away now from the town on 300 South, with the city on 200 South. Make sure I covered my. Yeah, well, it's my opinion, my professional opinion as a person with 50 years of ag experience. If 50 years ago they'd have sold the farm for $500 an acre, it wouldn't have looked very bright. And if they'd have sold it, 10, 12 years ago at $4,000 to $5,000 an acre, it wouldn't have looked like a good move. And I don't think it's highly unlikely that in the near future, it's going to be a good business move. Whenever you have a business selling assets to progress, and it's usually kind of a sad time, so. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Kent. Okay. Any other comments, open questions for the hearing? No comment, Caleb?
I have some questions I can ask, I guess.
This would be the opportunity before we close the hearing.
Caleb Geiser. My main question about the property is recently you guys were looking to acquire property for the new highway garage. Was that easy or a hard process to do?
Extremely difficult.
Extremely difficult.
Yes.
So how far is that property from the closest edge of the county farm? Couple miles, probably?
Probably about 3.5 miles.
It's-
That would be my guess.
It's fairly close. So if you had to, could you have built that garage on the county farm? Would that-
It was considered.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Absolutely considered, absolutely.
So I think, my concern would be down the road, if you part with what ground you do have, and you have another situation like that arise, and let's say, you can't find a person to do a swap like what you did, it would give you a fallback option to build something, wouldn't it?
The biggest thing with the county farm, it does not have access to water, municipal water, and sanitary sewer.
Okay.
That was the infrastructure that was lacking. Proximity to the city in the county, because we needed something centrally located. With the White Bridge flooding and Veracruz flooding, the only option for traffic, the 20-plus vehicles would have to go through the city to access Main Street Bridge, or go to the west side to access the northeast portion of the county.
Okay, so you would have had to run, water and sewer to that
Absolutely,
location?
yes.
Or on-site wells.
Or on-site wells? which
Right.
we could have done. So, but you don't, in the future, you don't expect the city of Bluffton to start expanding to the south any? And maybe that, I'm looking at it like as close as that property is to the city of Bluffton, that, down the road, there could be a possibility that would actually be a pretty good location for something else that the county or the city of Bluffton might need.
That was explored, and Nate can kind of join in if he thinks it's needed. The proximity of sewer stops right at the Scioto pool. That being said, there's bedrock to get sewer, and with sewer, you gravity flow it or pump it, and that's where it's stopped. And even with annexation south of No Number Road, is it, Nate? We don't, they didn't even want to accept sewage from what's growth right south of Scioto Pool. So, and as north has happened to expand, as you can picture with the apartments and housing,
Okay, so
that's what it seemed like the growth was there, and this was the explanation from the city on sewage.
Okay, so you don't expect it to expand to the south then?
Probably not as quickly. There's a possibility with Harrison Township needing schools, housing for school students and parents.
Okay.
But they do have some gaps to fill before it would get probably much south of 200 South.
Blake, just for reference, a sewer extension to get to the edge of the city system would be about 2.5 miles long. So we just over almost 11,000 feet. And I think city water stops in that vicinity as well. So you have about 5 miles total of water and sewer combined that you'd have to do extensions to get to there. Growth in the city, certainly that's something we're looking at. Unfortunately for us right now, anything as far as growth by the city isn't within a 5-year window that we could even see. Probably growth patterns to get out to that, you're probably outside your 20-year, you're certainly outside your 10-year master planning window to get within a mile of that site.
And we just had a meeting with the city of Bluffton like a week and a half ago, and their 12 projects they gave us don't have anything coming south of 200.
They're,
Of 200
they're
right
working
now.
on meeting growth demands that are already in place in some of the greenfield areas to the north, northeast. There's some requests I'm trying to go south and southwest some, but at this point, going to that facility isn't in their 10-year plan.
Correct.
So, that answered some of the questions.
Sure.
Nate, what's it typically cost a mile to run utilities nowadays? I mean, just, I know it's a hard question, it's
Everything's
why.
the same right now.
Yeah,
Really, depending on the size of the water line or sewer line, you're talking $100 to $120 a foot.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean.
So
you're
5,280
talking-
feet in a mile.
Yeah, so you're up in that $1 million range plus on utilities. And right now for the sewer district, they ordered pipe out of Canada at this time. So trying to get that much pipe, that length, there's going to be quality issues on doing water service that far out. Now, we talk about water service like we can't get wells. The reason wells aren't agreeable is because of fire protection. You're dealing with sprinkler systems, because we're mandated by code to have sprinklers in some of these areas without doing, essentially creating a farm of different buildings for everything, which then we lose some of the efficiency in the operations. So our goal is to try to be able to sprinkle the facility, and that's where we ended up needing to be as close as we are to the city, but still kind of be centrally located. The county farm also pushes the county highway garage about 3 to 4 miles farther east, so we're central in Harrison, but then we're not anywhere close to like Union and Rock Creek Township. So by being where we're at, we're about just about a mile off of Meridian Road, so we're fairly central, but we're south central at that point. And that was one of the benefits that we felt was good site selection for us. So, no.
Thank you.
Sure.
So one of the main reasons to sell it is to raise funds, and that would be less of a burden on the taxpayer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So-
what we're exploring.
Yep.
But have the numbers been ran to, how much less of a burden is that once you take away the income from the farm, and, of course, it's appreciating over time? How did that all shake out?
I think I can answer that just from common sense, layman terms. I think there's a point in everybody's life, be it business or whatever, Kent, where you decide where you're going to cut your losses and move the ball forward. And I think, bottom line, we could all look, we could go out to your $15,000 an acre in the future, be it 5 years, be it 10 years, it'll get there ultimately. And, we talk about sustainability and paying back the loan, et cetera. But I think you can tell we've all been, I'd consider us all successful business owners, and there's a point in time where you just make a decision based on the other people that are around, the 7 council members, city council members, everybody involved that we've sat down, we listened to people, and we know we can all massage numbers the way we want, correct? Is that a safe assumption? We can make those numbers look good in our own minds as far out as we want to go. But after doing this for 31 years and hearing everybody for a lot of years talk about different things, we've got a good group of individuals that are very well-rounded and smart. And to move it, and Caleb, we could sit there and go forward, and, okay, so I have $2 million I can put down on this, and that's $4 million that we have to spend, let's say. So in terms of, there's a $2 million less, I don't have to spend $6 million. Now I'm spending 4 because I sold the farm, but I'm not getting the income off of the farm. But at the end of the day, with all these individuals that have put their minds together for the betterment of Wells County, you finally just anchor in and decide to move it forward. And I think that's what we're pursuing, is how we're looking at this. Everybody's got great, the conversation's good. Kent, you raised some good questions. You really did. And I respect those. But I guess where I would be at personally would be, there's a period of time where it's, let's go forward. I mean, I'm not going to wait 15 years or 10 years for it to go up to $15,000, because I need to get something moving now, because we have a highway barn that has been so bad for so many years that we're just going to take that. I'm going to take that decision and move it that way, is where I'm going to go. Just so everybody knows.
Well, I mean, talking farm ground in the late 90s, I think you can remember when farm ground, when it was 4,500, 5,500. And in a matter of not too long, if you were able to get $2,000 an acre, that was happening. I can't say, we can't predict. It might go to 15 grand, it might go to 20 grand, but it might reflect and go back to 5 grand. I don't know.
The important thing is not so much the value of the ground, but when it goes to $15,000 to $20,000, the cash rent's going to go to $350 to $400. You borrowed money at 2%, it costs you $200 an acre, and you're going to be bringing in $350 to $400 an acre. And
That's if it goes to 15.
Huh?
That's an assumption, if it goes.
Right now today, you sell it for 10, or you borrow the money, and your rent is over, the rent that you're receiving is over your interest payment. You don't have taxes like a farmer does on the ground. It's tax-free ground. And then when it goes to 15,000, I'm not saying sell it then. I'm saying at 15,000, your cash rent's going to be $400 an acre, and on up. So you keep the farm. You get the pile of money you need to do the county garage, and the farm pays for the money that you took.
I'm not going to sit around and wait on it. I honestly
And
will
I'm
not
gonna
sit
take
around
the
and wait
risk.
on it.
No, wait,
And take the
wait,
risk that it
It's
could.
not a wait, it's today.
I understand where you're coming
Today, you're
from.
going to get more rent than your interest.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
So, you're not waiting on anything. It's here today, but it'll be all the better when it's at 15,000, when your income goes up. You don't sell it, you keep it. Because when it goes to 20, your rent's going to go to 500 to 600.
230 acres.
So, but there isn't necessarily, set, I mean, of course you don't know exactly what it would sell for, but there isn't numbers saying, if we sell it, this is the benefit on your taxes.
Okay.
So,
No, honestly, I think we're looking at this to establish a baseline of funding to move it.
so there is no, is selling the farm, you don't have any money to start the project without selling.
There's some seed money in there, Caleb. It's not a lot. That would be a boost for it to get it going. That's safe to
So
say, correct?
what is the cost of the garage, the highway garage?
Depends. 8 months ago,
Yeah.
it might
So
have
we
been,
don't- you don't know.
it might have been what?
We're working on a design now, so we can get a firm number. I mean, I started this 6 years ago when I became a commissioner as the president, to seek out a way and an avenue and a location, because it needed to be more centrally located, but still have the amenities. And, we worked at a project beside the Corning plant, south of the Corning plant, and until Mike offered this location. So the lumber price and the steel price,
Yeah, in the last couple of months, it's gone up
So it'll be-
astronomically.
So, yeah, it'll be higher than what?
Oh, yeah,
originally-
definitely.
Right.
So, okay.
Unless everything just reverses its course. I mean, we can't guarantee that. Nobody can.
So, I don't know a lot about this stuff, but if you So let's say you decide to build a garage, and you come out and you say, okay, this is gonna cost X amount of dollars. Is there a possibility that there can be a process of say, people petitioned or something to stop that project?
Like a remonstrance you're talking about.
Yeah, or going through it.
Depends on the pricing of it, I think. And there's ways that you work
Help us out, Roy, in case
for
we're
for
misspeaking,
funding.
right?
There's,
We're not about to tell you how to defeat what they want to do. We're not that dumb.
Right,
But there are different ways of financing things. Some involve remonstrances, some not. And all I can tell you is this is not something that the commissioners or even county council picked up last month and decided to do it. I mean, we've been going to meetings after meetings after meetings, and I can remember at least some county councilmen saying, we just don't think owning a farm is consistent with the purposes of government. The government should not be in the landowning business. We have a county farm that has been owned by the county so long ago that the deed was handwritten, and wasn't even typed then. So it's been there for ages. It's an asset the county has, but the county has a lot of other assets and funding opportunities. The county the commissioners within the last year passed an ordinance to allow a BOT, a build to
Operate, transfer.
build to operate transfer. They could do a lease, they can do a bond. There's a lot of different financing options, but they have the county's looking at not only a county highway garage, which is to replace a barn built for housing interurbans, but also a jail expansion. So we've got two big capital improvement projects. Some might think it's not wise to ask the taxpayers of the county to pick up and have additional tax burdens for financing those things when there are other assets that can be used and devoted to do that. Now, Kent suggested you can borrow and provide some funding. That's always subject a decision that commissioners and council can make. But you just don't decide on Monday we're going to sell a farm. We've got to go through a process, and one of the processes is having a hearing. And the next step after that, if the commissioners decide to do that, would be appoint appraisers. They have to give us a written appraisal. It can't be sold for less than the average of that appraisal price. So there's a lot of steps and safeguards, and ultimately the sale is also subject to approval of county council. So all 10 officials of the county have to be on the same page for this to happen. We're not at the end of the process, we're more at the beginning of the process, but we've talked about different financing and different alternatives to where the commissioners decided they were willing to sell it, and it looks like council's on board to looking at funding, certainly the construction of a highway garage and possibly a jail expansion. So it doesn't always happen that you get everybody on the same page at the same time.
Something else as far as the concept of trying to defeat the project. I don't think that if the interest is to defeat the garage, that's one thing, but I don't think that the same process applies to maybe defeating the sale of the county bond. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know of a process to do that. It's just subject to approval of the commissioners and ultimately subject to the approval of county council. It's not something that you can petition or remonstrance against.
And so I, as a guy who has to work in the highway garage, certainly I would hate for people to be opposed to the need of the highway department, the highway garage, because of the decision of using the county farm. But certainly there's needs there. It's certainly not a surprise to anybody that we're looking at ways to finance that. So.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Roy, but at any time, if the numbers didn't make sense, we got into this process of the appraisals and everything else, we could say, look, this is the route we want to go with that. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, if you don't like the appraisal.
No, I'm saying you don't like the appraisal, whatever the property,
Well,
you can say, hey, look, this is
The step in the process is to get appraisals.
Right.
And then you set a price. You're supposed to set a price. That can't be less than the average.
Right.
So if you've got an appraisal, let's say appraised for $7,500, and you think it's worth 10, the commissioners can decide, we'll sell it for not less, we're establishing a minimum price. You could say it's not less than 10. My father's a farmer, but, you know, I wasn't trusted to do anything besides drag the ground and get dirty, you know. But commodity prices, I understand, are high. And I don't know, if I were trying to sell it, I'd say, well, you know, I know Kent Sprunger says in 5 years it's going to be 15,000. So farmers better buy it now while you can. Buy it while you got a bargain.
Is it, will the, if you guys do sell it, will it be, you hire an auction company to do a public auction on it, or how do you, I know in
That's a possibility in the statute.
That's one step that gives us that option.
It has to be sold, at an auction or bid, so the county has to advertise it for bids. It's just a matter of, besides getting the bids, do you, on the date that the bids will be reviewed and accepted, hire an auctioneer to also have an auction then? That decision's not been made yet. As you know, we sold a piece of ground east of County Home Road, and that's how we did it. On a Monday, you know, we had an open bids, but we took bids from individuals in the crowd, and my recollection is somebody who came to bid on renting ended up not getting the rental contract, but did outbid who we thought the likely purchaser was for the 17 or whatever acres we sold. But again, those sales are subject to approval of county council. And we got 4 members here. So they all know what the commissioners, they all know of the hearing, and they know what the commissioners have in mind. We've not asked for them to approve it because we don't have a price yet, but this is the process.
Okay.
But government, whether if it's, you know, federal, state, local governments owning land is not, I mean, it's not an oddity. It's not something that's not common. It's pretty common.
Yeah, but I think, like, to what Blake said, owning property for business development is a little different than owning property to farm.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of communities do. Cities, counties, they buy up development land where they can sell it for 40, 60,000 an acre, and then recover funding from sources in terms of the sewer, the water, et cetera, where it's close. It's not, I think, am I clear?
Absolutely.
Okay. So a farm ground versus a development ground, like I would say we're gonna talk about in terms of owning. It's one thing for a county or a city to own ground that has development potential. We are so far out there that we have government ground that has long been passed by. And that's why we're moving it forward. I can't tell everybody enough. We like Roy said, we have looked at this long and hard for a long time. And I'm not going to wait around for that $15,000 an acre ground. I'd love to, but I got a need that's more here today than the future and have people suffer.
Our responsibility is to have a operation that's adequate and safe for our employees. And it's getting to the point where we can't justify repairing it to the point to bring it to speed. And we can picture, if you can say, we got a 90-year-old facility with a barn or a two, and it really needs that attention. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Yeah, well, that was my biggest question, was the potential for that ground down the road to be used for something. But if you guys
Sure.
feel that, well, nothing that gets done is going to get done that direction, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
That's I appreciate that. I
If
really
you
do,
own-
Caleb.
You know, if you own the acres, you know, in a more
Yeah.
desirable. That
Well,
was my biggest question, 'cause
and-
I don't know where the, you know.
And I would even go a little further, that as long as I've been around from here to Milwaukee, no matter where you go, and I think as you look in time, development of any city or growth potential is always going north. It never goes south. I don't want to say it out loud, but it's a true statement. If you look at everything, the world around, everything goes north. and they'll just leave it at that. Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you.
Leon, something for the hearing? Sure.
Won't take me long. Leon Burning, I didn't come prepared to say anything. I don't have any dollar amounts, I don't have any figures. But as I hear the comments that have been made this morning, I just want to follow up with my personal thoughts. I agree with Roy Johnson that government should not be in the business of owning farm ground particularly. It's not the function of government. And I respect the numbers that Kent Sprunger brought, and I respect him as a person, I know him. But if that type of thinking was correct, then why not take it a step further and have county government purchase more farm ground right now today when the price is right and gain more in 10, 15 years. So I don't agree with that thinking. I just don't. So I would support selling the farm because the need no longer is there because we don't have the county home anymore. So that's really about all I have to say. It just doesn't make sense for county government to be in that business. So.
Thank you, Leon.
Yeah, and Leon, I would like to add to you that you have attended a lot of meetings over a lot of years, and you've heard a lot of this discussion, so thank you very much.
Okay. Motion to close.
Make a
the public-
motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So we will go to our regular meeting. First of all, minutes were sent via email, and both minutes and an executive session. I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
Please, I'm tired of talking.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
3-0. Okay, payroll 10, calendar year 2021 totals $246,037.03. We had 180 claims totaling $414,754.73. Entertain a motion for the financials.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, 3-0. We'll move to Scott.
Morning.
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 As of this morning, we have 65 total inmates in jail. 20 of those are pretrial circuit, 18 pretrial superior, 14 F6, and 5 DOC. The only other thing I have, I know Amoresco, Elevatus had a meeting with them last Friday, just a pre-meeting. They are still planning on coming in June. I think as well as commissioners and council, from what I gather.
Yes,
But
yeah.
They're supposed to be in another meeting this week as well. I think they have all the bids in for the bidding process for all the projects so that they'll have accurate numbers to present in June. So
Okay.
we'll get heads up on that. Other than that, we worked with the health department and vaccinated as many inmates as we could. I think we're done at this point. I think we were 20 to 30 inmates that we were able to vaccinate while in the facility. Obviously, it's by choice only, so, but we'll continue to do that as the needs arise, as they do that. So,
Okay,
Thanks, Scott.
yep, thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. Nate, have you next?
All right, well, good morning.
Hi, Nate. Good morning.
Couple of different odds and ends. Just wanted to let you know, we had the consultant selection process will be starting. Was issued letters of interest for scoring on two different projects. The Bridge 71 Federal Aid project. We had 4 consultants submit letters for consideration on that project. We had 3 others submit letters that they were not going to pursue the project. So we certainly got a pretty broad swath as far as consultants in the area. Numerous of others are interested in working with us on other projects, so certainly we're doing something right because I've got the engineering consulting community very interested in working with Wells County. On the County Road 200 South and the overpass project, we only received 1 consultant for consideration on that project. but 4 others submitted letters that said that they were going to pursue either the Bridge 71 or future other projects with the county. So just so you have that, I've got the packets here. I'll meet with you individually afterwards to get the scoring team together so we can start to process those and I can respond back to the state. So just an update on those 2 projects. RQAW, this is the Highway Garage Design Group. We met with them the last week to kind of review draft plans. I think we're kind of honing in on a overall concept for the site. We've submitted responses back to them as far as some updates we wanted to see on those plans. I hope to have something here. We're going to meet, I think, Thursday potentially to kind of review this again and get some updated estimates so we can actually start to answer a few questions as where we're at. Certainly my concern is that steel and commodity prices are escalating. If there was a bad time to try to build something, this would have been it, but I think we're certainly in a desperate need, so we're going to find ways to make that project happen. So just an update there. Update for the media, the road conversion petitions. I haven't talked about those in a while. We've kind of gotten into a status quo on that. Usually with the first meeting in June, we close the petitions, so if you want to be considered, if you're a property owner on a gravel road, and you want to turn a petition in so that the commissioners can review that and consider it. We close the petition process for 2021, first Monday in June, and then in July I'll end up presenting kind of the totals of where we stand as far as petitions, right-of-way acquisitions, so that the commissioners and the highway superintendent could select roads to start construction on. So just a quick update, so if anybody has those, they're available on our website, or they can stop by the Highway Garage Monday through Thursday to pick up a form. So just definitely recommend anyone interested to use that process. That's been very helpful for us. Update on PACER rating. This is where Chris and I end up going out driving every county road. We've actually gone through and rated every road in the county for this year, so I'll be able to get our traffic asset management plan updated. Certainly I want to turn that into the state, but that's just getting a visual eye on every road, looking at what improvements we want to make and how we want to make them. So that's complete. I do have the annual report. There's actually a copy of it up there for signature. I'm recommending approval on that. That's due June 1st, I believe, so I needed to get that turned in. I think it's got the yellow Post-it note there, Blake.
Is it me or everyone?
I hate to admit, I think it's everyone and myself need to sign that, so.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
3-0. Okay, right here. Yeah, all 3 of us.
Yep, good. Then the other item I have is a County Crossings matching grant. This is a contract between Wells County and NDOT. This is for our 2021-1 project. I'm recommending approval on that draft. With that, then Blake can sign that using DocuSign. That's the updated ordinance as far as the signatures for that. Just recommending approval on that contract.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
3-0.
And then I have a utility permit from Portland RMC. They're going to run the fiber optic from about on Hoosier Highway from Meridian Road south to 500 south. Just running along the parallel with the roadway.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
3-0.
And then I just have a note on any right-of-way dedications. I did not receive any to my office.
I thought I had one, but I had to mail it back because there were 3 co-trustees and only one had an acknowledgement.
Okay.
And I called it back to see if they signed it from the same notary, and he said, yeah, and then he backtracked, said, no, they didn't. So
Well, it's,
I sent it back to him to get it all signed and back.
Good, June.
yeah, I'll deal with it when they get those turned in, but no, other than that,
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Nate.
good deal. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll be available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bonnie and Betsy, we have you next.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How's everyone?
Pleasant.
Hi. How are you?
Good, you?
Thank you.
Huh?
Right underneath mine.
Okay,
Same here.
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
I gave everybody a copy of some of our statistical reports. And obviously, as you can see on the first chart, our trips are down considerably. Through 2021, the data is from January through April, and the rest of the years are through year end. Obviously, when COVID hit early 2020, that impacted our number of trips that we were able to provide based on several drivers retiring, the social distancing on the buses and so forth. So that meant we could only, we had to restrict the number of people that could be on each bus. So in 2020, we ended our total trips at 23,086. We were actually on track that first quarter to be one of our best years ever. And then, of course, it took a nosedive from there. So we are in the recovery process. Our trips are going up. We're averaging, you'll see that a little bit later on one of the other charts. But our biggest hurdle now is we still have to practice social distancing on the vans, and we are down about half on the number of drivers that we used to have. So.
And at this point in time, that the mask mandate and social distancing on public transit has been extended until September 13th.
Yeah.
At this present time.
Okay. So your second chart is the cumulative comparison. If you just flip flip it sideways, I guess, for your next chart. This is a comparison of every year, January through April. So again, this year we are still lagging a little bit behind where we were at last year, mainly again due to the social distancing, the restriction of number of passengers per vehicle, and the number of drivers that we have. So, yeah. Any questions so far on those? Your third chart is the monthly trip comparison, and this is on average. So if you see, we are on the uptick a little bit. Our monthly average for 2021 is 2,060 trips, whereas last year, because of COVID, we had dropped down to 1,924 trips on a monthly average. Unfortunately, we're still lagging behind 2019, where we were at 3,632 trips on an average. We have trips per business day. Again, this is also average. So our average trips per business day are at 101 for 2021. We ended up averaging 111 last year. Our highest year ever was 2015 and 2019 at 175. So if we could add drivers, we could get back up there. That's been a challenge for us. You have the annual data report that shows the number of vehicle miles. So we're not too far behind since it's for the a little over the first quarter. We're at 40,772 vehicle miles that our vans have traveled so far this year. Last year they were at 120,824, just a little over half of what we were at the year prior. So. And then the last chart on the back I always like to share is the different categories of age groups that we track. We have 4 different age groups. Our biggest, accounting for the most number of people and then most number of trips, is our adult age group, and that is individuals that are 18 to 59 years old. We had, so far through the end of April, we have provided trips to 213 different adults, and that accounts for 50% of our ridership. Seniors are our second highest category, and that is anybody that is 60 and older. We've provided transportation to 155 different seniors, and that accounts for 37% of our ridership. And then our students K through 12, which is students that are age 6 through 18. We have 46 different students that we have provided transportation to so far, and that's 11% of our ridership. And then our infants that are 0 to 5 years old, we have 9 different infants that we provided transportation, and that is at 2% of our ridership. Does anybody have any questions?
Those infants are accompanied by an adult, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the
Now
info.
I'd like to present our grant for 2022, and that's already been reviewed in advance. Any questions or anything that we can discuss?
Do you have sources of funding through ARP? There's nothing in public transportation above and beyond grants to local governments? Okay. There seem to be for anything, I mean,
Sounds like the
COVID-related
exception.
funerals.
If they were available, then we'd have to jump on that. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so we ready to
One
move
signature or
forward? We have
multiple?
multiple pages, once again.
Blue ink.
Different.
Blue ink.
Blue ink, please.
And this is all for me to sign.
Most of it.
You need this right
Most
now.
of it.
Okay.
This is for Lisa.
So we'll need to pass a resolution
Oh, yes.
for this. And I'd make a motion authorizing that. Resolution number 2021-08.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Right.
3-0.
Mike, it's nice to meet
This is-
you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, that's mine.
Okay.
She did too.
That resolution there,
That's very possible. I get hundreds of that.
2021-08, or no?
It very well could slip through. Send me another one, though, please.
All right, maybe I'll use some the same.
Absolutely, that'd be fine. Sometimes it takes two
Hand
times.
me on.
Bonnie, does this one take a separate resolution number?
Yes, it does.
Maybe 2021-09,
And that resolution,
it's a authorizing resolution for me to,
for the auditor.
yep.
Also make a motion, resolution 2021-09, authorizing the auditor to work federal for the grants.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
3-0.
Lake signs and
Did you put this on further? Or did you just hand this to me?
You just took my list.
That's an awful lot.
I'm labor on that minute.
See, no, they need you.
almost done.
That's it? Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Have to order a new one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You did? Oh, gosh. I see some pictures. Did I miss them?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna put them. on
Okay,
Facebook.
good. I didn't think so.
Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.
Dan.
Thank you. Steve, have you next.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here to discuss with you setting up a potential commission, talk about best practices for the funds that we're receiving from the federal government on the American Rescue Plan. It's an unprecedented amount of money that should be probably once in a generation that we're receiving, and just want to talk about a path moving forward, working with you and deciding what that commission might look like. My recommendation would be at least one of the commissioners, 2 to 3 council members, someone from the business community, whether that be the chamber itself or or someone outside the chamber, probably the Economic Development Director, Chad, potentially someone from cities and towns, potentially someone from schools. And then we could go from there, decide whether we want anyone from the nonprofit sector, libraries, agriculture, just different sectors that might have ideas to weigh in on how we would spend those funds. Ultimately, it's going to be commissioners' decisions on how to spend the funds. Also, maybe our county engineer, I know he's brought up already to you and council, potential for using that for the sewer district. So just setting up a commission, and it doesn't have to be decided today, but would like your thoughts on setting that up. If that's good, we could have a separate meeting to decide who sits on that commission and go from there.
Maybe set up a work session.
Work session, yes.
When's our first set of funds come? Is it like July
Have
1?
we received
It
that?
should
No,
be coming.
May 11, was it?
Did it come?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
We haven't received that yet.
Okay. So-
You have?
We have not.
So they're behind what they've said already. Yeah. They know we have till the end
No.
of '24 to
Right, to
allocate
identify.
and identify those.
That we got all the numbers that we needed?
Okay.
Said you had to have.
Yes.
I think you've got a
Great
good
numbers.
mix that you've already come up with for your,
Okay.
So based on
Group.
just the numbers you came up with, is that about 9?
Yeah, and those are recommendations, those aren't.
So when you said
Gas
just
and
city or
stones.
town, it'd be Austin or Bluffton, or since they're the two largest population centers?
Start with someone from the mayor's office, if
Okay.
not the mayor,
Dedicated, yeah.
or a city council member.
so you're looking 7 to 9. I mean, most of the time you
Yeah.
get, it's like we've talked in the past, you get somebody, the schools for the most part are all going to be in the central, they have an idea. I mean, they could
Yeah.
get together and maybe have one at the table.
Sure.
Are the
Sure.
schools getting separate line items also in this ARP funding? Or,
There's all different kinds of, it depends
Who
on the
knows?
need. I mean, it
I mean,
depends on.
And they may not be representative in what we have control of as a county.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
So that may not, they may not be, we may not need them in that.
correct,
Of
yes.
that
If they have a separate fund.
1.8 or 1.9 trillion dollars, I think about 23% is coming to local government units, i.e. the county.
Right.
And secondarily, we may want to think about having somebody that can consult with us, and that may just be Roy,
Well,
or listen to Roy's recommendation. who-
That's okay, we've already got, and I sent to the commissioners. The commissioners employed Barnes and Thornburg for CARES Act advice. And I asked them if they were going to do something similar with respect to ARP, because if it was worth whatever to hire them for CARES, and what money was involved, certainly the, $5.6 million would seem to be worthwhile. So they have sent an engagement letter, and I think you've seen it too, because you talked with me about it, and it's like, well, they wanted a retainer so much a month, but I see that being able to be cut off once we've got a plan developed.
Sure. Simply to set up these recommendations for you guys to approve and set priorities.
Do we want to set up a session between now and next meeting so we can discuss it and then act on it at our first meeting in June?
That makes sense to me. So whatever's
I
going to
would
be
be,
after that.
I don't know if you'll be available
Well,
anytime.
what I would suggest, based on what Steve's already brought,
Yep.
I think it's really good. And Commissioner Vanover, would you serve in that capacity on that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Really.
So,
And then I'll get with council and see.
yeah, because you're still three,
And
you're
then-
still
yeah,
less
then-
in quorums
Then between.
to have your meetings.
Those two entities, then let's decide
Yeah,
who else should be on.
I think that's great.
Let's do
You've
that.
really got 4 very divergent areas for which the funds can be used.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough. But
What are those 4 areas again, Roy?
the 4 areas,
Yeah. Because there's been
well,
some discussion about
I know
that.
one is for expansion of utilities. I know another is for consideration of bonus money for essential workers.
Is broadband one of them?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's part of utilities. Utilities, broadband.
Is that infrastructure, is that what you're referring to?
Sorry?
Any infrastructure, is that what would fall under that category?
It says infrastructure, but not how I would typically see it in terms of roads or bridges or this and that. It's just the expansion of utilities and broadband.
Okay.
Water, sewer, and broadband is how we define utilities, so it's fairly narrow.
Yeah, so that could kind of limit maybe the scope of it, but that way you got a good start.
Yeah, let's start with council. Commissioner Vanover, and then we'll go see who
Yeah.
else needs to have a seat.
That's great.
I'm okay with that.
I will get with Mike to schedule that first meeting.
Yeah.
That's all I had, really. So,
Lisa, do you have the resolution when the commissioners, it's probably 3 meetings or so ago when they created a fund?
Yes.
Show Commissioner Vanover, it's got the 4 areas there.
Thank you.
There's the file. So this is the investment, this is the primary services.
Yeah, these are the 4 areas.
B, C, D. That's your categories you'd be discussing.
Just Steve, here's examples.
Steve, you had a financial advisor in that group?
did not mention that, I don't believe, but that could be that consultant.
Just in terms of if a consideration was to use for leverage, like we might consider a loan fund and, or a match or something like that.
Are you saying someone that would understand
Yeah.
financial leverage?
I'll take the, no problem.
Would that be a banker?
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, we'll discuss it.
Well, you've got Councilman Wicker might have some input on that if you felt.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Steve.
And thank you for your support on the farm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. All right, the additional other business, Lisa.
I had a request from Bluffton Free Street Fair to use the plaza for Sunday, from Sunday, September 21st through Sunday, September 2nd, 2021.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
3-0.
You wanted to have a discussion on the E91 advisory board?
And that was something that was talked about, I think. Mike, you kind of talked to some individuals, maybe to
Correct.
try to form some type of board to look into different,
The whole entire thought was to form a board of first responders or people in leadership within first responding categories to sit on that 9/11 board to help direct that or assess certain strategies and then get that back to the commissioners is what I'd like to form. So advisory board.
I
And it
located,
seems
I
like-
think it was LaPorte County, and sent you an example of, I think,
Right.
what LaPorte County did. Not that that's the chisel in stone, but that's at least the starting point if you wanted to pursue that.
I have no issues. I mean, just look at the avenues that, and the people that you need to, and then report back to us and tell us your findings and however it needs to move forward.
that's kind of what we were set up to do. Yeah, I would agree with that too. I don't have any, do we have something set up as a resolution yet for that?
Maybe
We
once
can
they-
move it forward.
They can report back and then we can make it into a resolution, if that's okay.
Okay, no, I would support that. I make a motion that Unless you would like to, go right ahead, it's your idea
Oh,
too.
oh.
No, I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. So moved.
Okay. All in
Second.
favor, aye?
Aye.
Right.
3-0.
I think it's a great move.
Okay, next up. Highway Supervisor.
Advisor.
Part of our executive meeting, Commissioner Eno and I, and Roy, interviewed a client. His name is Sean Bonar, and he has multiple years working in the Fort Wayne Street Department, and he has told us he's willing to accept the position. That being said, that was done in an executive meeting. Today is our first formal public meeting to move forward on that position and consider that for a hiring position. Open it for comment. If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept this.
I drafted a transmittal letter for Commissioner Gerber to sign that included a proposed employment agreement, and I copied commissioners on that and maybe even updated it a bit. I tried to include everything that I thought he brought out into the executive session, as well as a follow-up email. And I know he sent an email, what, Friday?
Thursday or Friday.
Thursday or Friday, wanting to know where we were, so I know he's anxious about it and is excited about starting. I think his start date was June.
It'll be the Monday, first Monday of
In
June.
June.
Motion? You need a motion, correct? All right,
So
Kevin,
moved.
Second?
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
3-0.
And then any discussion on highway garage or county farm?
The farm has sailed.
We did mail out an election to, notice to exercise the option to purchase the Mossberg ground and ask for them to prepare and deliver to me a title insurance commitment. I also did order a title assurance commitment for the present county garage that we are exchanging as part of the consideration. I don't have that back yet, but that's the updates I can give you as far as where we are on that.
So our next step is the hiring of 2 appraisers, if that's.
Well, that's on the county farm.
Right, that's the next
If-
item we're going to bring
Yeah.
up.
If you're ready to go the next step on county farm, you've had your public hearing, and it would be appropriate for you to consider a motion to, if you want to proceed with respect to the sale. The next step, and that step would include appointing 2 appraisers. And when those appraisals come back, I think they've got 30 days to submit an appraisal, and we share that with county council. And then when you get the appraisals back, your next step would be to set a minimum price. My suggestion would be at that time, when you meet and set a minimum price, that you also deal with whether you want to employ an auctioneer to conduct an auction and at what point in time. The statute, as I read it, requires that you put it out for bids, and the way we did the previous sale of the part of the county farm east of County Home Road is we got bids until the day of sale, and then people who appeared on the date of sale at the commissioners' meeting were able to increase their bids or submit new bids until we ran out of bidders. And again, all those documents and the documents I would propose be prepared with respect to this sale. The terms of the sale would be subject to approval of county council. Since I'm sure you'll want it to sell for more than $50,000, so it would have to be subject to approval of county council.
Can I add
something.
Yes.
Would there be any consideration to making that more than one tract? Is that something
My
that
thoughts,
you guys
because
consider
when you
that?
publish the notice of the sale, I would publish notice as we'll sell it 1 or 2 tracts or both, whatever produces the most money for the county.
It would probably be wise to find out from area plan what's allowable and market it that way as whatever amount of parcels or a combination thereof, or
Yeah, well, we
Whatever.
don't need area plan approval because it's separate tracts and always has been. So we're not creating, it's not a division of property.
So it is.
Before the seller get 30 feet of right of way along the frontage and all that.
Well, yeah.
that will happen.
We'd probably do that by reservation. It's kind of tough to deed it to yourself because, you know, you have the fee and that kind of merges.
Yeah.
But that would be my idea is you would create that on the
It's one of those
merger.
small things.
Yeah,
I
right.
hate to think of it.
Or we could always eminent domain.
Condemn.
How many acres are you talking?
Well, it says 229.54.
So what do we need a motion for right now? The highway garage or the county farm, or both, or separate, or?
I don't think on the county highway garage you need a motion. I just
Okay.
reported to you what we've done since the
Gotcha.
last meeting. I think with respect to the county farm would be a motion to, if you decide proceed, then a motion to proceed and appoint 2 appraisers. Historically, I know the county has used, we used, I think, Ray Shaw and Joe Wettrick when we sold the part of the county farm east of County Home Road. And then with respect to looking at sites, we've used Neil Warden and Rita Gabriel, yes. And they both done, I know they've just done a land rush work of business on state highway eminent domain proceedings. And they did a good job, I thought, for the county when we appraised Mossberg and the present county highway garage. But that's up to you.
Sure.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
3-0.
And is that appointing Warden and Gabriel as the appraisers?
I'm okay with that.
Me too. That's fine.
Okay, I just needed to know if that's what you were.
And if we need a backup, let us know that we can get in if
All
they're
right.
swamped or whatever, so. But I would probably, just looking at a calendar, I'd like to have it back by like June 25th, 8th in that area, so we could act on it in July at that meeting.
When I communicate that to them, I'll remind them that the statute requires that be done within that time period and
Excellent.
make
Thank you.
sure they understood that that's when we were expecting it
Okay.
back by.
Great. I'm done. If you're done, I'm done. Kev, anything? Michael?
Oxygen.
No.
I'm good. Done.
Anything else, Bill?
Thank you.
Jessica? Audience? Hearing nothing.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll second that motion.
You finished?
Thank you.